All right, so boom. I just spent like an hour and a half on the phone talking to somebody, yeah. And this is where my headspace is at the moment. I feel like there's a bag of man, bag of grown ass grey back men, yeah. So you're somewhere between your 30s and 50s that need to have a conversation with your dad whilst he's still here. There's a lot going on. There's a lot you don't know. There's a lot he's not telling you. And for a large part of it, there's a very good chance it's because he doesn't know how to, or he feels like opening up and explaining certain things to you weakens his position. This is your opportunity here, as somebody on a parenting journey yourself, to make Superman know that, you know what, kryptonite's a real thing. It's real. Everybody has their own version of kryptonite. There is a weakness that everybody has, and everybody's susceptible to something. And you can't help with the fact that kryptonite exists, but you are actually here to assist. I just spoke to one of the realest people in my life, like, and had a long discussion with them about some issues that are going on with non-disclosure. Now, somebody who's around my age and their father would be possibly of the first generation windrush, like, you know, as in case of the child of a windrush parent. They have had that generation there grew up in scenarios where they probably weren't close to their parent. They probably spent time elsewhere before they came here. Somebody else did all the nurturing. Somebody else did the supporting. And when they got to England, yeah, there's a very good chance that their biological parents were so focused on surviving and enduring the hardships of being in England that they never really took the time to offer the same level of nurturing, and that has effects. And what I've realized is the effects are, the trauma is still with that generation. I mean, even down to my own dad. My dad put a message or a comment on something I put out the other day. And it's not like it wasn't anything that I knew or didn't know, should I say. But I did not expect to see. And the fact that he put it online, I was like, huh? It took me a good few days to even respond to it because I seen the vulnerability. And at that point in time, I didn't want to put anybody in a position where they felt like I was being dismissive of it, or I was just going to accept it for the statement that was made. I believe that whilst you have air in your lungs and your heart is beating, you have the opportunity or the potential to change any situation that is adversely affecting you. So I think the Bible says something like actions without works is dead. Couldn't tell you what the scripture is. I just know that that's where it came from. I believe that nobody knows where or when or how. All you'll be left with is regret. You can carry regret until it no longer affects you because you've A, done something about it, or B, it no longer affects you because you are no longer existing on this astral plane, full stop. I believe that you have a choice in which you pick A or B. And you have to decide for yourself whether or not you are going to gamble your truth and your vulnerability in order to try and break cycles or not. I don't know what's going on this month. There's a lot of things that have been happening behind the scenes of me trying to approach this whole baby father saga thing from like a journalistic kind of point of view. And I'm starting to realize that that's not necessarily the way forward. It pays to share information. It pays to share tips and tricks and hacks and all that sort of stuff. But I'm already feeling like, I haven't been doing this long, but I'm already feeling like there are ways of trying to approach these conversations and they need to take place like soonish. Not everybody has the same length of rope to delay. And I'm trying to be diplomatic with my talk. I don't feel very diplomatic at the minute. I feel like realistically, tomorrow's not promised to anybody. I know guys that have a lot of regret about not having certain conversations with people that meant a lot to them and never had the opportunity to do it. And some of you guys are in a position where you actually do. Pride is a comfort to a fool. Yeah, I'm sounding very philosophical and you're probably picking up some background noise now because some dickheads just pulled up beside me and they're blarting music. Like, I don't even want to hear it. But the reality of the situation is the clock is ticking. You can put certain things off because they're uncomfortable and never ever get a resolution on them. What I'm urging you guys to do right now is to consider the fact that that is real. There's a very good chance that the longer you leave something that you need to address, it will never actually get addressed. It will never get healed. You will never get the opportunity to get answers. And you're going to be left with a level of regret that you can't fix. Right about now, assess the situation. I'm not saying you have to jump up and go do something and have an awkward conversation. Not everybody's ready for that. The recipient might not be ready for it even though you feel like you are. But at least think about what issues matter to you and why they matter and why you'd like some form of resolution. There are grown ass men out here that are being spoken to by their parents like they are still children. And the parents don't realize that this person has become an adult in their own right. Because psychologically, where that child was left was an infant, was a young child. And because they've missed so much of the pivotal milestones of adolescence and growing into adulthood, they turn a blind eye to the fact that these things have even possibly taken place. And the problem with that is everybody's speaking to somebody from a point of authority, not realizing that they don't necessarily have any authority when dealing with their children. If you are old enough to be my dad, you also need to consider this. You can see I'm a big old grey bearded individual. So there are a lot of dads out here that are old enough to be my dad, that have awkward and strained relationships maybe you need to explain a little bit of your backstory to your children so they have an understanding of why certain things are awkward for you. We are at a point now where, if you are, all right, I'm gonna put it to you like this. As a black male, and I can only speak as a black male right now, I'm not ostracizing anybody else that may see this, but what I'm saying to you is I am over 40. Yeah, the average age life expectancy of a black male is about 66. So if you look at today's metrics, I shouldn't live long enough to even get my pension. There are some guys out here that are healthy, they're a lot fitter than me, they're active, and they're here, they're still out here, they still have the opportunity to have these discussions. I urge you guys to do it. There are grown men out here, the ones that have created grandchildren for you that you may think the world of. You may have a great relationship with your grandkids, but you don't necessarily have a great relationship with the parent of those grandkids. It's not too late to work on that. Please risk assess your family. Yeah, there's a lot of information that is held within families that are so taboo, and it needs to start coming out. We need to start having these conversations. We need to speak about what bothers us, what triggers us, and how we can assist each other. There are guys out here trying to do everything right for somebody, and they're hitting brick walls because they don't know how to interact with the person. They don't know the language that is required to communicate on an effective level. And you guys are the key holders to that. Yeah? You can't necessarily speak to another adult, although they are your child, from that perceived level of authority that you have, because you don't actually have that authority. If you didn't raise your child from the sandbox, there's a very good chance that you are not in a position where you can tell them anything. And you can't be speaking to them on a condescending level as if to say, well, they are not on the same level of adulthood as you. Your experiences are different. And that's going to have a bearing on everything. But the bottom line is they've had to survive the same way you've had to survive whatever trauma you've survived. However, your traumas may be different. But understand that the traumas exist in some capacity, and be willing to realize that ultimately they aren't necessarily going to be trying to take authoritarianism talk from you, because you're not necessarily in a place to give it. And you're probably at a point in life where you need their help more than they necessarily need your parenting. Yeah, I've had a few conversations with people in the past couple of weeks, literally on this kind of subject. And the reality of the situation is, unless we start cleaning this up, there will be tears ahead. There will be a lot of unanswered questions. And the whole purpose of me even trying to do the baby saga can't even get my words out right now. The whole purpose of me trying to do this whole baby saga thing, baby father saga thing, is to highlight the fact that we're all learning. Yeah, we're all on a journey. We're all walking down paths. We've all got flipping lean off heels. We've all got burst air bubbles on our Nikes. We're all treading this path, and it's painful. Some of us have corns, calluses, bunions, whatever. Nobody's got an easy ride on this. But the more we start actually unifying in terms of communicating, is the easier it will actually start to become, because just being able to communicate with somebody that you have feelings for, and starting to understand the language that is required in order to appease both parties, goes a very long way. So I'm going to stop ranting now. But But I hope this message hits those that need to see it. You know what I'm saying to you? And obviously, if you're my age and you've got a strained relationship with your child or children, you also need to risk assess the potential for you to be in a situation where you'll be going through the same thing further down the line, and try and nip that in the bud. This is what the whole thing is about. Trying to break cycles that currently exist in order to create a better future and a better legacy for the people that, you know, you are biologically attached to, the people that you care about. And I'll leave you with that thought. Stop recording.